ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. We're live on this Thursday evening because why? Because there is fuck all to talk about as usual. It's been a very, well, actually over the last couple of hours, a few things have happened that have made this a little bit more relevant at this time. So that'll be fun. And as you can see on the right hand side of the screen, I've got company this time for a live stream. I've got the wonderful Ryan McGinley beside me. Ryan, I just said before we came on the call there, it's been a while since we've done something like this. Are you happy to be back on?
Happy to be back after a wee while, it's good to be back talking about Celtic. I'm obviously missing the podcast, but I'm glad to be back speaking about Celtic in some sort of way.
Yeah, of course, podcast has been away for a wee while now without much to speak about. We'll hopefully be back in some capacity. Maybe this week before I head to Poland. This is my half week, Ryan. Now, this is my full-time job, so I've put my holiday days in. I'm ready to go away. I'm jetting off to Poland. I'm looking forward to that. But until then, we'll try and fire some content out for you, and that includes tonight on this live stream. We're going to cover a couple of the topics that are kind of fresh off the fucking, what do you call it again? The printing press. Off the printing press this evening, including transfers, including the programme that was on earlier tonight, the Sky Sports, that you got to watch, Ryan. We'll have a wee discussion about that. But ultimately, I think the main thing that we're here to do on a Thursday night Q&A live stream is to take the questions and to answer the questions. We'll let the comment section sort of decide the direction that we go in this evening. It's good to see people piling in just now. And there you go, Ryan. Ryan Cathouse McGinley is back. There you go.
Yeah, that'll be the only place I have this weekend. I don't think I'm going.
I was about to ask. I was about to say, is that your plans for this weekend? Are you going to go to the cat house? You're not going, no?
I can feel myself shaking. The withdrawal symptoms are getting to me.
That's what happens, though. You go to the cat house, you start shaking. It's not a nice place. Anyway, we're going to have a wee bit of a conversation, starting with this man. I'm going to throw him up on screen. Benjamin Siegrist, you could say. Benjamin Siegrist, as GigPod would call him. His name is in the news this evening, Ryan McGinley. It is apparently, well, according to some, a close to finished deal for Ben Siegrist to join Celtic. And another goalkeeper to join this squad. You know, we've been calling out for maybe better options behind Joe Hart, and it looks as though we're going to get one now with Benjamin Siegrist. So, I mean, I've already kind of spoke of him on this channel so far. I gave the kind of initial thoughts when the rumours started, but now that it looks like it's closing in, as the tabloids are saying, what's your thoughts on Benjamin Siegrist, Ryan? Is it someone that you're going to happily see walk through the doors at Celtic Park?
I mean, I think he's a solid backup for sure. Yeah, he's 30 years old, just coming off the back of another good season at Dundee United. I've always quite liked him as a goalkeeper, although I don't know how good he is with the ball at his feet, but I'm not going to get too bogged down with that. I mean, I'm just, the one worry I've got with bringing Siegrist in is I hope that this doesn't stunt the growth of Toby Oluwayemi, because he's very, very highly rated, and we want to see him progress into the first team in the next 2-3 years. So maybe with Siegrist coming in, obviously we needed a replacement for Barkas. I know you'll be gutted with that. Replacement for Barkas. We had Ryan Mullen go out the door, Ross Doohan out the door. We needed a goalkeeper, and it looks as if we're getting Siegrist. So maybe Oluwayemi is going to go out on loan, and Siegrist is going to be number 2. If that's the case, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think the main reservation I've seen from folk, if anybody does have any, has been, you know, the sort of progressive players like Oluwayemi. I don't think at this point there's any concern for the likes of Scott Bain. I think that Scott Bain's very happy with his position in life right now. He's bringing in a great wage. He's not having to do much. He'll probably be enjoying the culture at Celtic. He's still winning medals, and when he's called upon, you know, the option is there to play. I think he's pretty happy right now. So I think the main reservation for most folk is the fact that maybe someone like Toby Oluwayemi isn't going to get the chance to kind of come through as much as we'd like him to. But I must admit, I don't really see many negatives to this one. I think this is a good signing for Celtic. I see a lot of people on social media happy about it, but I also see the few that are, you know, kind of sceptical. A lot of people saying, oh, you know, we should be looking to improve on Hart. He can't play with the ball at his feet, so why are we getting Siegrist? I think at the end of the day, Joe Hart played a very pivotal role in helping Celtic towards a cup double. A double, a cup and the league title last season. And I think that, you know, the criticism is far from merited for Joe. So I think bringing in the likes of Siegrist is a very... Look, there's no risks attached to this, Ryan, I would say. You know, we're signing him on a free contract. We're signing him a free transfer. The contract, you'd imagine, won't be incredibly expensive, or I don't even think lengthy. I think that he'll come in, you know, on that sort of basis where he knows the script, and he'll probably be getting a wage not much higher than what he was getting at Dundee United. And ultimately, he's not going to play a lot of football. He's not going to cost us that much if anything was to go wrong. So, you know, I don't think there's any risks attached, to be honest, Ryan.
I think the one thing is, though, I think there was a lot of people that were really doubting whenever Bain was coming in. If Joe Hart was injured for whatever game, if Bain was to come in, a lot of people would be quite worried with Bain. A lot of people don't have that confidence in him that they do with Joe Hart. So with Siegrist, I think people will be a lot more confident if he was to sort of step in for Joe Hart. So that's definitely a positive in that aspect.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, he's been fantastic for Dundee United over the past few years. I think that goes without saying. The amount of times I've seen him perform against Celtic like a prime Manuel Neuer with his shot-stopping abilities. He's a really good goalkeeper. And I think that he's probably been the standout performer over the course of the 2 years since Dundee United have returned to the top flight. So, you know, there is reservations, Ryan, as I've said, and there is obviously concerns of maybe abilities with the ball at his feet and this, that, next thing. But ultimately, you're getting a really good shot stopper here. And I think that, you know, when it comes to the games that he might be called upon, ultimately, shot stopping's probably the priority for a guy like him. I don't think, unless obviously you said Joe Hart gets injured, you're not going to see Benjamin Siegrist suddenly rushed into a European game, a derby game. You know, he's going to come in and he's going to play in those games where he's maybe tested once or twice per game and he's expected to make a save, and he's certainly a keeper who can make saves.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen that in games against Rangers. I remember numerous times he's had such really good games against Rangers and Celtic as well. We won't talk about that. One of the last games he played against Celtic, that he basically assisted Giakoumakis' goals. I hope he can do that at the other end of the park and not his own net. But it's low risk. It's another signing through the door if it happens. I'm sure it will. And I'm not too fussed about it, but at the same time, I'm not like angry over it. I'm happy that we're getting another guy through the door and a solid addition to the team.
Yeah, and it's hopefully something else that keeps the ball rolling in this transfer window. We're of course sitting here waiting for Jota. We're of course waiting to hear updates on maybe the likes of your man. Is it Bernabei or Bernabei? I'm not entirely sure how it's pronounced.
Bernabei.
I think that's what I've been calling them anyway. So the likes of Bernabei, we've obviously heard talks about Vinicius Souza. You know, there's a few players that are obviously on the radar of Celtic. So hopefully, if we bring in Siegrist and then maybe get Jota over the line, which we might touch on later in the stream, it'll get the ball rolling into what could be a very big window for Celtic. So that was the kind of main thing. I'll throw it up on screen once again in case you missed it. Benjamin Siegrist. It looks as though he will be joining Celtic.
Very high tech, Ryan.
Very high tech. Do you like the graphics, huh?
I do.
Aye. I see. It's a step up now that I have time to sit down. It's the only graphic I've got for tonight because I honestly had no idea what. I don't know what we're going to end up talking about, so I couldn't really prepare anything else. There is talk. Let's talk about some other transfers. Yesterday, I spoke about Vinicius Souza on the channel. We've kind of touched on Bernabei in this channel as well, and of course, we're still waiting on Jota. Ryan, this is the first time I've really got to sit down with you in a couple of weeks to speak about it. What's your thoughts so far? The window of these players that we're being linked with. Are you happy with the names we're being thrown in and around with at the moment?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, especially the Argentinian and Brazilian names. Those are markets we haven't really shopped in traditionally. So it's great to see those sort of names and those sort of nationalities getting linked with Celtic. You think that these players can bring about flair. I know maybe the two positions aren't sort of flair positions, but I mean, an Argentinian left back, that's quite exciting. And then you look at defensive midfielders in the world just now, a lot of the best ones are Brazilian. So if we could get a Brazilian defensive mid in Souza, it would be absolutely brilliant. But I doubt that will happen with the names that are getting linked with him. But
so I was going to ask, Ryan, not to cut you off. This is one of the comments that came up, and I thought this was quite interesting because I've seen a few tweets in relation to this. So Odin's son here, he says no to Souza, not committed, big red flag for Ange. So there was talk, all agent talk. Yeah, there was talk in the media that perhaps he wasn't so keen in a move to Scotland. That it wasn't the most I say attractive option for him, and of course the other thing that was big was continental football. But we do have the continental football. We have the Champions League, which is a massive drawing point for a player like him. You're saying, of course, you know it's all agent talk and such. But what do you think in general? Do you think that should be a red flag if that was the case?
No, not really. I think it's quite. I mean, the guy's 22, a 22-year-old Brazilian. You'd think that if teams like Fulham and PSV are in for him, that those would be probably more attractive moves for a sort of guy that doesn't have any emotional ties with Celtic. You've got to say he'll look at the Dutch league and he'll look at the Premier League. He's thinking that's maybe a better place to sort of ply his trade for a couple of years. But at the same time, Celtic's its own unique sort of, what would you call that? There's a sort of proving ground for a player, because you can play in the Champions League, you're playing winning football most weeks in the Scottish Premiership. So it's all about what he wants, really. But I mean, either way, I'm sure we'll get tons of targets either way. So I'm not too fussed at the moment.
I know, I think that's one thing that people are always quick to forget when it comes to transfer targets. I'm sure that we're not just isolated on the one player. We're not just focusing our sights on one singular player. And I think a lot of people are getting, we'll come on to Jota. A lot of people are getting concerned in case Jota doesn't come to Celtic. And I seen a couple of comments in my video yesterday discussing the fact, should we just move on? Should we prioritise elsewhere? I think, we're a club that will have options there as well. We're not going to just keep it at Jota. I'm sure that the club have been over the past, since Ange came in, I'm sure him himself and other scouts will have been looking at options in case they, it was never a guarantee we were going to sign Jota in the first place. They would have had to be prepared for a situation in which Jota did return to Benfica. So I'm sure that we will have players to turn to and maybe go in and about. And obviously it's just not our place to know who's in that pool of players. Before I quickly come back to you, Ryan, a couple of donations to bring up. Thank you very much. Paul McMahon, the legend himself, he says, good to see someone working from Celtic plays FM. Who's playing FM? Have I missed something? Is somebody playing FM?
I mean, you play it sometimes. So.
Nah, well, do you know what? FM's incredible. Thank you, Paul, for the £1.79. And also to Chuck, who's donated £4.49. He says, get yourself a pint in Poland, son. I very much appreciate that. Thank you. What a legend.
It cost a pint over there, won't it?
Whoa, listen. Have you seen the price of a pint in Poland?
Is it not quite high?
No, the exact opposite. I think you're averaging something like £1.30, so I'm getting a few pints with that.
Jeez, Chuck's got you for the night.
I think the vodka as well is something duck cheap, because it's like Polish vodka, and it's obviously like they don't need to import it and stuff like that. So I think it's a packet of a 20 deck of fags. I think that's something like €2.50 or something. Well, I'm saying euros. It's not even euros. It's they use Zlotsky in it. It's Zlotsky or something. It's a different currency, but it equates to something like that. But yeah. Anyway, that's that. I'll get the F at night. I get the comment. That's okay. FM. Never heard of him before. Never seen him in FM either. So honestly, wouldn't have had a clue to be quite.
I did notice that he had that in all the pictures that were getting shown of him. I don't know if it was the Belgian club he was on loan at last season. I remember Shved played in that same top because with the wee smiley face in the middle. Mm-hmm. I was like, you've played with the legendary one.
I've played with Marian Shved himself. Marian Shved, who went back to fight for his home country at the beginning of this dreadful conflict. That was one of the.
He was the guy in the plane. He was that hoax guy in the plane.
What is it? The ghost of Kiev or something like that. Something like that. Anyway, so I'm happy with the names we've been linked with, Ryan. I must admit, I'm glad that so far. We're seeing names linked to those areas that I think we all kind of are in agreement of, the areas we identified needs improvement. Left back, central defensive midfielder. Those are the kind of first ones that have jumped off the page. We're looking at those areas first. So I think that we're well prepared heading into this season if we definitely get a couple of players in there, and I'm sure we will. I'm sure that Ange will have a trick or two up his sleeve and bringing players in. I think people are forgetting, right? This is still so early on. Like, we get the fixture list tomorrow, which we'll come on to as our next topic. That's kind of what I had as the overwhelming theme of this. But I think people are forgetting how early it still is. I know the season starts a little bit earlier, but, it feels like we're still kind of in an early stage of the pre-season.
I think people are still quite tetchy because they think we've got qualifiers, or they think that our season starts early, because it usually does. The fact that we don't have qualifiers means we can sort of, not relax, but sort of focus on targets a bit more and negotiate maybe a wee bit more. So it's a good position to be in, that we don't have any games to worry about before the end of July. But at the same time, we still need to get our business done relatively early so they can acclimatise quite easily to their new surroundings.
What are you making about the money situation? Do you think we're going to spend a big amount in this window, Ryan?
I think it's a weird one because we've obviously got the 40 million coming in from Europe. I think we'll spend when we need to spend, but we'll also look for some bargains in other areas. I'm hoping maybe Ange has another player or two up his sleeve that he can bring from maybe the Australian League or the Japanese League, players that he's worked with before maybe. But it's all about getting the best fit, and if we have to spend more money to get the best fit for the team, then I'm sure Michael Nicholson will help Ange in doing that.
Michael Nicholson.
I know. Watch what I'm saying there. It's not on side. I've got nothing bad to say about Michael Nicholson just now. He's definitely back in Ange, and that's what I like to see.
Right, well, hopefully the transfer window goes well. Of course, there's been, I think the one last thing to touch on is the wait for Jota, and I'm kind of getting fed up of talking about it myself on the channel,
Yeah,
because I'm just kind of rehashing what I say. I still remain confident. I think we'll get it over the line. I think it's just a matter of being patient. Now, there is people saying, how patient can we be? Should we look to move on? What are you thinking right now, Ryan? What's your opinion? Is it the same as mine, or are you going to offer something a bit fresher here to the opinion?
I'm pretty chilled about the whole situation. Ange told me to go and enjoy the summer. That's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying the summer and being quite chilled about the whole situation. Whatever will be with Jota. I've been broken heart. I've had a broken heart before with loan players. We've already got one through the door. We've already got Carter Vickers through the door, who I thought was going to be more difficult out of the two. Now, I'm not saying
Absolutely.
that Jota is proven to be more difficult, because these things just take time to hash out. But the guy's on holiday. I still expect him to sign for Celtic. Look, he was walking about in his holiday with a Celtic top on. If that isn't a come and get me plea, then I don't know what is. The guy wants to play for Celtic, so we just need to wait and be patient. And I'm sure he'll be announced before too long.
I'm hoping that, remember it was this time last week we were waiting on one, and then it was the Friday night, the news broke, remember, just randomly Friday night, bang, Cameron Carter-Vickers is signed for Celtic. So can lightning strike twice? Will they give us a Friday to remember tomorrow and maybe announce Jota? I don't know. It's not for me to say, but it would be great. It would be
I
fantastic.
mean, I'm planning a weekend off it, but if they announce Jota, there is no chance of that.
Changes everything. The whole landscape changes at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's everything in terms of transfers. Of course, we're still going to come to your questions. So if you do have any questions surrounding transfers or anything like that, then please make sure to keep them for the Q&A segment of the show. But tomorrow, Ryan, at 9 o'clock, the fixture list will be revealed for the 2022-23 campaign. It's a sort of kind of, you can say it's where we start getting you can get the feelers out to kind of see where this season's going to go. It feels like the excitement is truly beginning for a new campaign. And that's where I think, I've always said like the 1st of July is like the proper start of the season. That's when I think the calendar shuts on the last one and it begins in the next one. But we get our fixtures tomorrow, Ryan. Are you excited to see? I mean, obviously, it's not as if we're going to have surprises thrown in there. We know what teams we're playing. We're going to play every team 3 times. Are you excited, however, to kind of get a feel for where we're going to be playing first and seeing the run-in of games?
Yeah, it's always good to sort of plan out. You're always looking for your first home game. I'm presuming that Flagdale will be our first home game. I don't think we'll play away from home. So you've always got that to sort of circle in your calendar. You're always looking forward to going back to Celtic Park. I know we'll be there a couple of times before with pre-season games, but your first league game is always exciting. You fly the flag, you go back. Seeing it all on paper makes it all real. It makes it think that the league's not so far away. That's what excites me, because football's my main hobby. Going to football is my main hobby in life. So if we've got that on paper, we can start to get really excited over the season. Because I hate not having the football just now. I mean, I know we're getting international football, but it doesn't stack up to Celtic. Celtic's my be all and end all.
It's not the same, is it? I hate going through a weekend without actually having Celtic to watch. It feels sort of, I just feel like it drags on a little bit.
I know, and because the World Cup's on in November this year, we should be having a World Cup just now, and it's really annoying that we don't. We've just got this sort of blank space. So, I mean, I know we had Nations League games, but it's difficult to get yourself motivated for them when there's more and more and more. How many of them was there? 3-4 games with a qualifier. It was just too much for the amount that the players have already played. But that's a separate rant.
Yeah, and that's one thing, we've not got a World Cup. We're going to have to wait a wee bit longer for football. But it'll be also sweeter when it comes back. But you've also touched on the point of what I was going to say in terms of we're going to have that big break. That's one thing we'll notice in this fixture schedule, that, there will be a break in November, December for the World Cup. So that's going to be slightly annoying, because I've always just got this feeling, Ryan, that we could be in such a stride come November and then bang, it could all come to an end because we've got to go away for 2 months. I feel like that FIFA have just created more problems than anything hosting this World Cup in a country that isn't fit to host a World Cup, I would say. But here we are, we're going to have to deal with it. But you think that Postecoglou and the lads at hand in the squad are more than well prepared and equipped to deal with that sort of disruption midway through a season?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. We've not usually had that. I know we have like winter breaks, but this one's quite a massive break in November. At least we still get football to watch while the break is on. We'll have the Sydney Super Cup to look forward to as well.
Right, I forgot about that actually.
Not even any word about who the replacement team is going to be.
It's going to be a surprise. It's going to be a surprise on the day. The lights are going to go out and just some random team is going to be standing there in the park when they come back up.
Well, that'd be exciting. Hopefully, it's a bigger team than the one that pulled out. You know, You're always looking for the biggest names in these competitions, but I'm sure that Ange will be able to handle this sort of break that's coming. I know there'll be quite a few players that'll be going away on international duty. You think of Juranovic. Juranovic has stick on in that Croatia side. He can play left back and right back in that team. It's incredible. We'll have a load of Japanese boys away on. I was going to say Rogic there, but Rogic hasn't with us anymore. That's quite heartbreaking.
I know. As you see, apparently Indonesia I might be away to. Something about the Indonesian Premier League or something like that.
Make that money. You know, he's doing the Axel Witsel sort of thing. You know, he's made his money. He's going to. Actually, it's the reverse of Axel Witsel because he went back to Borussia Dortmund, but he's going away to a foreign country and make his money. He might as well. You know, it's a very short career, so. Might still get as much, and that's closer to Australia than Scotland is. So, best of luck to him.
Aye, best of luck to him. So let's do a wee prediction very quickly. Let's have a wee bit of fun here. What we thinking for our first game of the season? Who do you think we'll take on at Celtic Park?
St Johnstone at home.
Oh, you're going St Johnstone. I'm going to go for the other Saints. I'm going to go for St Mirren. I'm going to say St Mirren at home for the first game of the season. And then when do you think? Who do you think will be the first away game? It's definitely going to be either Rugby Park or the Tony Macaroni. It's going to be one of the two.
Think so?
It's going to be the Plastic Park.
Easter Road.
Oh, you're going Easter Road early on, is that? Okay,
nice. I don't know about you, but they're a very interesting team to be watching out for this season. They're making a lot of really interesting signings. It'll be interesting to see how Lee Johnson does in charge of Hibs, but you know, whoever we've got in front of us, we should be beating them.
Yeah, exactly. This is probably the weirdest donation I've had, but I'll throw it up anyway to say thank you. Is David Buick a grower or a shower? I'll let David answer that on his own accord. Maybe if you pop by a TSF, you can maybe answer that. Now here's a big question. Oh, here's your man, by the way. What a legend. Ewan Davidson in the chat. Legend. Shout out to him. Simply saying Celtic. I love that. So what was I going to say? When do you think the derby will be played? Do you think it'll be very early on this season, or do you think they'll try and keep it a few more games?
It'll be last before the international break, that first international break. And you know, knowing my luck, it'll be when I'm in Dublin on a stag do. Guaranteed.
Oh, mate, I've got the fear because I am pretty certain that they're going to put the derby on the weekend I'm doing in Cardiff for the Clash of the Castle. I'm telling you, I just know it for a fact that they're going to do that just to get it, just to spite me. So I feel like I'm going to have to do drive down to Cardiff, and then I'm going to have to drive right back after the event to make it back for the derby. That would be disgusting, absolutely disgusting. Yeah. So we'll wait and see what happens. So yeah, anyway, there we go. Right, that's sort of everything. I feel like, is there any topics that you want to cover before we go to the Q&A and start taking people's comments? Ryan, anything you think I've missed for tonight?
Maybe more about Harry Kewell. I don't know if you've mentioned him.
Oh, yeah, I done a video on him the other day. That's right, but on you go.
Yeah, it's interesting. I see a lot of people sort of slagging his managerial record. I'm like, he's not coming in to be the manager here. He's coming in to be one of the coaches. And
the point that I made in my video was, you know, it's two completely different roles. And you can look at a prime example in this country as recent as Sean Maloney. Apparently a fantastic coach, but it just didn't work out for him as a manager. And you can look at somebody like Ian Cathro, fantastic coach, didn't work out for him as a manager.
He's still being a fantastic manager.
Yeah. Harry Kewell, like, I've seen people laughing and blah, 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 this, that, next thing. I'm like, listen, that's a boost for Celtic, I think, in every capacity.
Because it's one of Ange's guys, you know, this is somebody that Ange would want, because you've even heard stuff when he was doing Q&As, the one player that he wanted to work with in his career that he never got the chance to was Harry Kewell. Mm-hmm. So even to bring him in a sort of coaching capacity is a real plus for him. And he's obviously spotted somewhere that maybe we could need like another member of coaching staff. And maybe Harry Kewell can come in and improve something. Maybe it's the Damien Duff sort of mould.
Yeah.
that they need that sort of guy to look up to in the coaching setup. I don't know, but it's definitely an interesting one to watch out on. I've not heard anything else about it since Sky broke it. Was it Friday, Saturday?
Yeah, it was something like I don't think it was as late as early as Friday or Saturday. I think it might have been Monday or Tuesday it came. In the
Really?
news.
I remember reading it on the train on the
Well,
Friday.
maybe it was then.
The
Maybe.
days are going in so quickly now that you
Aye,
can't even tell.
probably was Saturday then, because it would have been Friday, because Carl Vickers was the Friday, wasn't it? So I don't know. It'll be someday. Who cares? Anyway, I am absolutely fucking roasting, and I'm going to melt to death up in this loft if we don't hurry up and get through these questions. So I am going to start the segment. Get your questions in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hopefully get some decent ones, and we can rattle through them in 5 or 10 minutes. Let's do this. I actually seen a first question that I wanted to bring up because I think it's fascinating to at one point, but I can't find the question to bring it up on screen now. But somebody asked, and I can't find it, but somebody asked the question, what's your thoughts of our Sixes side? Carrot and Cole up front. And what the fuck's happening there?
There's a couple of really, really odd ones for Celtic and Rangers. But we'll get Joe Ledley there as well. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
Joe Ledley can still play at a decent level in that. And Stan Petrov always looks good in these Masters sort of things or these charity games. So it'll be an interesting one. I can't go to it, unfortunately. I've got a wedding that day, but if I didn't have the wedding, I would definitely be going to it because I always miss it in Sky Sports. I miss when it was on in Sky Sports. I would always watch the Legends football or the Masters football, it's called actually. It was really good in the sort of smaller pitches.
Yeah, absolutely. I would like to maybe jump along and give Chris Commons some abuse, maybe, but
I forgot about him.
We'll wait and see what happens. He's going to be out of breath in 5 minutes, fat cunt.
I can't take to him. The only thing worse would have been if Craig Gordon was in goals for our team.
Oh, geez. Well, listen, let's leave it out. We'll leave out people that don't respect the sanctity of marriage. First Old Firm at Paradise. It'll be at Celtic Park. We effectively know that it will be at Celtic Park. The way it works is 1 year it's first at Celtic Park, and the next year it's first at Ibrox, and blah blah blah. So this year it's on the rotation. So we will be at Celtic Park in the first fixture. Any truth in Jota wanting 60 grand a week, Stephen? I don't know.
I'm hoping only 60k. I'm hoping is the 60k at Celtic Park every second week.
Yep, exactly.
60 grand would be totally out with our wage budget.
That's the only 60,000 he needs in his life, right? He'll be getting paid enough. He'll be getting paid enough. Can Siegrist put heart out of the team? Asked Lyle.
I mean,
I don't think he'll be given many opportunities to do that, to be fair.
But he's 30 years old. It's not as if he's a particularly old goalkeeper. There's 5 years between Siegrist and Hart. Maybe he's planning sort of long term if he signs up. He was like, maybe in a couple of years I could be the number one at Celtic. But you never know. It's all about what Ange sees.
Yeah, it is all about Ange. That's it. It's a manager's choice, and I'm sure we'll get a taster of him at some point throughout the season. So we'll wait and see. Sorry, my eyes are like drawn all over the place. I'm kind of just going through kind of glancing over the comment section with my eyes. So I am. Oh, by the way, what a question! The goat him. I always change my answer. I love our Lord Reigns. That's one of my favourites. That's brilliant. I think there's a few belters out there. You know.
I like. You know when they sing the Gloria. You ever heard that?
Yeah.
You see that on Easter Sunday or a Christmas Day? Loving that.
We better watch because we'll get called out for sectarianism if we carry on any further with our talk on hymns. So we better watch. What else can we say? What does this mean for Scott Bain? Sits as a third choice keeper, doesn't he? That's it. I mean, I think
he's basically living out his best fantasy is Scott Carson, but for Celtic.
Yeah. That's it, exactly. Unpopular opinion, Europa League away fixtures are better than Champions League aways. Europa League back on the Friday and it's the weekend. Champions League back to work in the week. Well, we'll test that out this year because I've been to a couple of Europa League away days now and this is the time to try out the Champions League. So I'll get back to you on that at some point, Ross.
Why not both? Let's be honest. Why not get third place in a group and then we can do both?
Listen, what I would say is if you're going to get the day off, if you're going abroad for an away fixture or whatever, why don't you just take the week off? You know, just waste your holiday days. It's worth it. Just waste the holiday days on that. Celtic's worth it.
Definitely going to need to go to an away game this season.
Will Ange gel with Ange? I don't. How does Ange gel with himself, Ryan? Must be a typo. It must be a mistake.
It must be a Harry Kewell, I think.
It must be. It must be some sort of mistake there. What's this? What's this here? Tell you what, how we got a feeling is it we're not getting to see Beaton get sent off in the arse end of Azerbaijan in a Champions League qualifier in the middle of July. Very specific. I like that. Very specific. I will miss Big Beaton to an extent, but I won't miss that though. I won't miss the needless red cards.
The red card and the red mist that descends upon him in the worst times as well.
Yep. Right, listen, I'm going to end up the stream there because I am genuinely roasting. I'm melting to like bits here, and if I don't go, I feel like I'm going to pass out. So I'm going to end off the stream there tonight, but we'll be back with the podcast and such very soon. Ryan, thanks very much for joining me, mate.
No bother, mate. Thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Right, make sure to hit like and subscribe, everybody. It's much appreciated. See you next